so let's go on to discuss some of the problems. I'll just sort of pick a board at random. I'm just going to sort of keep abandoning until I actually find an awkward board. I find 1 in 10 of them actually have problems. That's fine. Again, that's fine. I'm just going to keep flicking through these. Again, there's no problems. See, there aren't many very awkward boards. You can see a slight problem with this one. There's things that bounce around here, they sort of keep bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and just look, that's just going to mess you up. So you just have to be really aware of those sort of bouncing pieces. That's not what I was looking for, so I'm just going to keep looking quickly. So I'm just going to pause until I find the board that I want. Okay, this is an interesting board, but I find it's a bit more of a hazard. As you see, because we've got these 2 crates here, that you don't really need to place the first 2 arrows. So yes, while that may at first appearances look like a good thing, there is also a big problem with it. If I just sort of load this one, and then I go to load this one, what happens quite a lot is the pieces sort of get fired out the top of this barrel. And if it gets fired out the top at the same time as there's a piece coming along here, what happens is that piece gets shot along to the left, which just sort of bounces pieces along and along and along. And then what happens is, if the piece collides at the corner with another piece that's going up, one of the pieces ignores this arrow and goes straight up into this gun. Now, the basic solution to this is never place the arrow for the second gun until you are sure that basically the loop has calmed down. If you go into too much of a rush, pieces are going to bounce, it's going to get sent along here, and they're going to go up into that cannon. And you can pretty much just say the same thing about being pushed along into this cannon as well. So that's the first big hazard you can find. Okay, so here's another little hazard. When I was setting up the loop for this board, basically cannons just sort of get shot down here, and they can potentially get bounced back up. And again, it's going to do the same problem as I described before. Pieces are going to shoot along here. You've got to make really sure that they don't collide at this bottom right hand corner and just sort of go down into this cannon. Okay, this is just another quick example of a problematic board. When pieces sort of shoot out here, bounce along here, and they'll just take so long to come into the board. Again, it's just something you've got to look out for, and if you see it coming, just sort of change the arrow down and just sort of rebuild the loop. Okay, so this is the absolute most evil of evil boards for central looping. Basically, what happens is, I try to load this top left cannon, and the very next thing that's going to pop out is at the top of this cannon. So, if you notice, if I load this top cannon, what's going to happen is that. So, you either have to do one of 2 things. You either have to do this cannon first, and just sort of put the arrows down like that. It's just so unbelievably important that you check for this board, because if you get it and you don't notice it, you're gonna booch. The other solution is when you've got a line of pieces like you see here, this powder, wad, cannonball, always use these on that awkward cannon, because basically it will load the cannon before the piece has got a chance to bounce up and just screw it up. And there's just one other quick trick that I just want to show. I'll just booch that up. If you do booch, just sort of abandon the board, don't bother worrying about it. Okay, so I'm just going to load this bottom right hand cannon. Just gotta wait for the league point now. Okay, so what you can do is as the pieces are coming along, so I just messed it up because of the league point on that, so I'm just going to start again. Again, whenever you boot, just tend to abandon it if you haven't loaded anything, but always try to load at least 2 guns. Okay, so I'm going to start off by loading this cannon. Then I'm not going to refresh the arrows, I'm just going to do that straight away and just sort of save myself a nice bit of time. It just really helps sort of speed it up. You really have to do that when you're loading the cannons as well with the water pieces. So what you do is you wash out this cannon, use that technique to wash out the top left cannon, then you load that cannon, then you load that cannon. And you just sort of go around like that, and it's just so much faster. So now I'm just sort of going to go on to some examples of how to gun using these techniques and get up from the respected that I've just fallen to.